Now in this video, we're just going to start by adding in the final detail. Now on a new layer, we're going to select that little set of clover leaves that I had shown you earlier, and we're going to start adding in a few weeds and vines to the roots of our trees, just to make it look a little more realistic. Anytime you look at any kind of tree bark, when you're in the park or when you're in a garden, you'll notice, there's some kind of moss or weeds or foliage actually growing on the trunks itself and, coming out from within a few little pockets of the tree here and there, especially within the groove and root areas. So, I'm just very organically placing down where I think that this foliage would be. You can decide on your own. Of course, look at reference if you're uncertain of where this can be, but I'm very loosely laying it down. I kind of laid down a dark green at the bottom, and then I'm layering it on with a lighter green, and this instantly just creates a sense of foreground and background and depth to our little weeds. Now I'm going to just select a round textured brush again, and I'm just going to go back here. I think that this swirl that I created is a little too flat at the moment. So what I did was I just added a little bit of darkness around certain parts of the swirl. It's like almost like I went dark light if you look, and this instantly creates a sense of, it looks like the tree is swirling. It doesn't look as flat anymore. And I'm gonna again select that thin angled brush and start laying down those strokes to make it look like it's been blended seamlessly. And now with the thin flat brush, selecting a very light kind of highlighty color, I'm just laying down some very flat brush strokes and kind of swooping them upwards. And this makes it, it gives my tree bark a sense of perspective and depth a little bit more. Just by doing this, it makes it seem like there are grooves on my tree bark. And again, I wanted to add a lot more detail and attention to this area. So I'm just going to do it to the parts of the tree that I want our eyes to go to. I'm not going to add it all over the tree, otherwise it's going to look very chaotic and messy, and we really don't want that. Again, I'm gonna just sharpen up this area a little more, and then just add a little more highlight wherever, I'm just kind of picking at it in very small places, in any parts of the tree that I think that, the dark shape may look too big and it needs to be broken up a little more. And again, it's just the fine refinement part. We're just adding in those few details to really bring it together. But I think it's looking really nice so far. I'm quite happy with it. I think I've painted this shape enough. I want to just fill it up a little more. Right now it looks a little underpainted, even this other little branch right here. And you can really it's really beneficial to use the rotate tool when painting in Photoshop. I'm gonna add a little swirl there. If you press R on your keyboard, this will bring up a little hand tool, and you can kind of use your space bar to like hold down and rotate your entire canvas around. This way, if you've got those hard to reach places, or sometimes your tree, you want to kind of move your or rotate your illustration around to make sure everything works from different angles, just hit R and rotate it around, and it's such a convenient tool in Photoshop. I use it quite often. With that angled brush, I'm just adding in those fine details, and you know, it looks really cool. It really feels like tree bark. You know, everything makes sense. Everything has a reason for why it's there, which is nice. And now again on a new layer, I am selecting the overlay filter in my layers window, and with a nice big brush with my white selected, I'm really adding in that highlight to the parts of the trees that I want our eyes to go to. I'm just adding that pop right there. And again, you know, because we added in so much detail on very specific parts of the tree, by adding this big highlight of a brush stroke, we're bringing all our information together. We're making it cohesive. And you know, I'm erasing it out in certain aspects so that it doesn't look like one giant white shape, right? We want to break that silhouette up a bit so that our tree still feels organic. It still feels real. When painting in detailed tree bark like this, I always have one hand on the keyboard where my finger is always on the Alt or Option key, and my other hand is my Wacom pen or your tablet pen that is sketching on the screen. So I'm always, you know, I'm always selecting the color nearby and painting. So this way I don't break my thought process as I go on. Now I just want to add, like, you know, a few blades of grass kind of coming out here and there. You know, we don't want to add too much detail, but I'm just going to create like a few thin lines coming out, and then just add a light highlight to it, not too much detail. Once I have my grass shape figured out with a lighter green, I'm just going to use a nice big round dual brush and just add in that slight highlight to it, you know, and just sharpen it up in a few spaces, but not too much detail. Just the right amount. Dark, mid-tone, and light. That's all you need. And now with a small textured brush, I'm just going to add a little bit of highlight to the mossy parts of our tree, just to, you know, bring in a little bit of depth to this part. Otherwise it was looking a little bit flat. And now what I want to do is, I think we're pretty much done. With a nice big round brush, it doesn't have to be at full opacity and flow. What I'm going to do is I'm selecting like a blue violet, and I'm really going to just loosely add a wash all around my background. And I mean, the reason I'm doing this is it's just a minute detail. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I'm doing this so that the blue really pushes my tree forward. Right now, by having such a warm background, you know, it's hard for my tree to really come forward because, you know, the background is kind of warm when we added that color balance layer. So by just adding in this bluish, you know, blue violet texture, instantly my tree comes forward. Once I finish adding in this wash and painting in the background, I will be done with painting our fantasy tree. I hope that the technique and process wasn't too difficult to follow. Please visit tutpad.com to view more videos and courses just like this.